Hi, welcome back everyone. Before we get started, I just want to tell you that if you like movies recaps like this, please subscribe to my small channel to receive more videos like this and help me to grow, and I will post every day a new video, so I really need your support to continue, and I really appreciate that. So please subscribe, and let's get started. The movie begins with Ellie dancing in her room and dreams that she is in a classy party, and people at the party are wearing clothes from her design, but accidentally, she drops a picture of her deceased mother. After taking the picture, Ellie notices the ghost of her mother smiling with her in the mirror. She concludes that she will soon receive a good news. She runs down to her grandmother to find out that she's got a letter from London University of Fashion. She finds out she's been awarded a scholarship to study there. She's become so happy with this news because she's finally going to achieve her dream of becoming a famous fashion designer, and she gave her grandmother a big hug and starting to pack her bags. But her grandmother seems very worried about her because of her unique talent, which allows her to see things that don't exist like her mother's ghost. But she reassures her grandmother by telling her that she's going to be okay and don't pay too much attention to it, because this will be her chance to realize her dream of becoming London's most famous fashion designer. The next day she says goodbye to the ghost of her mother, and took the train to London. After arriving at the university residence she meets John. John offers to help but she refuses. Ellie meets her roommate Gugosta and tells her that her mother was dreaming of becoming London's most famous designer, but she got mentally ill and she died suicide when she was 7 years old. She go with the girls to enjoy their time outside. When Ellie was in the bathroom, she hears Gugosta laughing at her with the other girls, and telling them that she's going to lose her mind just like her mother before the end of the year. So she separated from them and decided to find a rental apartment to live in alone. After some searching, she find a small apartment offered for rent with an appropriate price. She go to check the apartment, and there she meets Collins, who tells her that she's been working in this house for a long time, and after this house was put on sale for a good price, she bought the house because all her memories are in this house. Collins tells Ellie that the phone only called the emergency numbers and she wants to get 2 months advance rent because the former tenants have been leaving the house at night for no reason. But Ellie agrees and doesn't pay attention to this. At night, Ellie plays fancy classical music and sleeps. She sleeps and she starts to dream that she is in the 60s. She enters a fancy restaurant, and there she is surprised to see herself in the mirror, to discover that she's another girl named Sandy. Sandy meets Jack and tells him that she wants to start singing, and she wants him to become her manager, and he tells her he's going to meet her tomorrow to take her for an audition, and take her to her house, which is Ellie's. Ellie wakes up and concludes that this was just a dream, and she goes to college and decides to design a dress like Sandy was wearing. At night, Ellie sleeps and turns to Sandy again. Sandy goes to the casino with Jack to audition, and the owner dazzles with her voice and decides to hire her. Sandy comes out of the casino with Jack so happy. She notices a clothing store and like it so much, so tells Jack that she'll be back in the morning and she'll buying a lot of clothes here for his new job. And then Ellie gets up in the morning and decides to change her hairstyle to Sandy's. She goes to Sandy's clothing store and she buys a jacket from there just like Sandy's jacket, and she decides to visit the same casino where Sandy was. She was so surprised to find out where she was from her first visit. She decides to get a job in the casino and talks to Carla, the manager of the place, using the same words that Sandy was using in her dream. Arousing an old man sitting in the casino, the guy goes to Sandy and tells her she feels familiar to him and asks her about her mother. She tells him she's dead and leaves. At night, Ellie sleeps and I turn to Sandy again. But Sandy this time she's offended by something. She gets angry and breaks the mirror. Then Sandy fights with Jack because he wants her to meet people she doesn't want to meet. Sandy leaves and goes home, and there we see a statue on the wall. Remember this statue because we need it later. In the morning, Ellie gets up and goes to college, and she's upset about her designs and starts cutting up all her designs, but the doctor stops her because she trusts her and trusts in her designs. Ellie returns to work at the casino, and there her coworker tells her that this old man he knew a lot of girls in his youth. Ellie goes home and plays music and she starts to see Jack forcing Sandy to go work at the casino. She sleep and turns to Sandy again, and start to see Sandy's memories coming quickly through her, and she's talking to many different men's. One of them was the officer Lance. He telling her that she should leave the casino and that she deserves a better life and she has to get away from Jack before things get worse, but she doesn't believe him and ignores his advice. Ellie gets up from the dream to find herself surrounded by ghosts of all men who were with Sandy. She terrified and leave the house. Ellie goes to John and tells him that she doesn't want to spend the night at home and that she wants to spend it outside, and guess where Jack's gonna take it? Of course, to a costume party. Sandy at the party is startled by the ghosts of men gathering around her everywhere, so she go home very quickly, and there she starts to see a memory of Jack killing Sandy by stabbing her to death. She immediately goes down to Mrs. Collins and asks her if there was a girl named Sandy here who was murdered in her room, but she tells her she knows no one by that name. The next day, Ellie goes to college, and she starts putting the finishing touches on Sandy's dress, but she's terrified when she sees Sandy's body covered in blood. She runs away, but she finds herself surrounded by ghosts everywhere, and she runs around until she bumps into Jack's ghost, but she finds out that he is the old man from the casino. Ellie runs and decides to go to the police station, and tells them that she sees nightmares about a man named Jack who kills Sandy in her room in the 60s, that the cops don't believe her, and they think she's crazy. So Ellie breaks down and decides to look for evidence on her own. Ellie goes to the library and she searches for all the murders that happened in the 60s, but most of them are disappearances of men. Soon, Jack comes and brings her bag, which she forgot with him at the party. She tells him that she can see ghosts and everything that happens to her. By this time the lights turn off and ghosts surround Ellie again. Ellie attacks one of the ghosts, but Jack stops her to discover that she was about to kill her former roommate Gagasta. Ellie noticed Sandy's ghost in the street, and she catches up with him, but she gets attacked by all the Mons ghosts, but she gets away, and she catches Sandy up to find herself in the casino, and there she meets the old man again. She concludes that he is Jack, and it's him that killed Sandy, so she turn on the tape recorder and she go to Jack trying to get him confess, but he denies, telling her that he was taking care of Sandy, and that she deserves what happened to her, because he advised her many times to get away from the casino, but she hasn't and he leaves her, but he gets in a car accident, so the casino manager comes out and tells Sandy that this is Officer Lancy, and he's always been trying to help girls in his youth, and here Ellie finds out she was wrong, and that's Officer Lindsay who offered to help Sandy at the beginning of the movie. Ellie breaks down from everything that happens to her, and goes to Jack, begs her to take her to the village to her grandmother, and Jack agrees, but first he takes her to her room to pick up her bags and the insurance money she paid to Collins. She tells him to wait for her in the car for 15 minutes, and if she doesn't come out, he comes to pick her up from the room. Collins welcomes her and tells her that she's got a letter, and takes the letters that was placed next to a statue, which is the same statue at the beginning of the film that I told you to remember, but Ellie doesn't notice the statue. Collins tells her that she had quit smoking but returned to smoking after police told her that Ellie had reported a murder at Collins' house. Ellie notes that the letter's in Sandy's name and concludes that Sandy is Collins and that she's not dead. Collins tells her that she killed Jack, and all the men who hurt her, and hid them all on the floor, and the police couldn't find them, and the press called them the missing. That's why Sandy finds in the library so much of the disappearance of the men's. Ellie tells her to let her go and she won't tell anyone about it. But Sandy sees that she's sure she won't tell anyone about it because she put the poison in the coffee. As Ellie starts to feel the ache in her belly, Jack rings the bell and Collins goes to open the door to him. Ellie tries to warn him, but she spins the cigarette on the cardboard and she starts a fire in the building. At this point, Collins stabs Jack in the stomach with a knife, and then tries to kill Ellie, but Ellie resists her and running into her room and shuts the door. But the ghosts pop up again and attacks Ellie, but she discovers that the ghosts don't want to hurt her. They just ask for help. Sandy comes in and the ghosts disappear, and tells Ellie that she didn't intend to do all this and that she's not going to the jail, and she's trying to killing herself. Ellie tries to stop her but she refuses and tells her to leave and save herself and Jack. Ellie goes down and faints with John. At the same time, firefighters arrive and rescue Eli and Jack from the fire. A few months later, Ellie manages to do a fashion show inspired by the 60s, and it's quite successful. The movie ends with Ellie seeing her mother's ghost proud of her, and saying goodbye to Sandy's ghost forever. Don't forget to subscribe to receive more videos like this. Thanks for watching, guys.